All right, we are back with another high ticket sales role play. I have Ian, who's going to play the closer here for a dating offer that is for women that are around about the ages of 45 to 65. And then we have Faith, who is going to play our prospect. As you've probably seen now from previous YouTube trainings, the key to mastering sales is nailing your discovery. That is the part from your opening question all the way through to the transition before you roll into your pitch. If you nail that, you don't get objections, you don't have to do follow-up, and you will close more deals and make more money. So in this training, we're going to break down all of the different nuances to being able to nail the discovery. So let's crack in. Ian, whenever you're ready, jump in with your opening question.
And so I took a look at your application, got all those details. And so I'm curious, in your opinion, what's the biggest challenge in your love life right now?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest challenge is I am like going on dates. It's not hard to like find someone to go out with, but I just once I go out with someone, I if it does turn into something, either I don't like them or if it does turn into something, it's just not lasting that long.
Okay. So it sounds like you are finding guys to go on dates with, and it's easy to find people to go out with, but it's either guys that you don't like or it's not lasting that long.
All right, pause. Phrase the transition in a way that's closest to the truth. Now, prospect very often is going to tell us something that is negative, but connect it to something that they are rationalizing to you and to themselves as a positive. Here's the example. Well, I can go on dates. I'm getting dates. I'm not lonely. I'm not dateless, but I'm going on dates with the wrong guys that also aren't lasting. So when we take all of the information that the prospect says, remember our key strategy to close deals is to display the actual authentic truth. So in your summary, you said, okay, so you're going on dates, you're getting dates, and the vibe to that was, I'm going to agree to Faith's rationalization that that's a positive thing. Let me show you how it's absolutely not a positive thing, and therefore how we need to put that back onto the prospect. How much time and effort is this woman investing that she could be investing into other areas of her life, going on dates with the wrong guys? That is not a positive, that is a negative. But when we frame the summary back to the prospect with their rationalization included, we're not starting to take the call deeper into the layers of the truth. So how I would phrase it is I'd say, okay, got it. So you're investing your own time going on dates with the wrong guys that isn't going anywhere. You see the difference? I took what she said, exactly what she said, but I removed the little distortion of bullshit. Oh, things are good. I'm going on dates. It's not that I can't get dates. Well, that's bullshit. You're wasting your time. I wouldn't say it that directly, but I would just take the summary and I'd put it back to the prospect. Every single summary or question that you're asking is always to go deeper and deeper and deeper into reality. That is all we're doing from beginning to end of a discovery, is going from lack of clarity, things that are not what the prospect is saying, all the way through to the end of the discovery. We know everything that is the truth, that is real, that is authentic, that is not masked in bullshit. That's what you're doing through the discovery. 20 minutes to take someone from lack of clarity and a bunch of fuzziness that's blurred up with bullshit to this is reality. This is what's actually happening. You're spending a shit ton of time going on dates that is a waste of your time. Does that make sense, Ian?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yep. Okay. So don't take the prospect's rationalizations and put them back into your summaries. Okay. So do that again. You can just start from your summary and then roll into the next question, because the summary will change the tone of the call.
Okay. So it sounds like you are finding guys to go on dates and go out with and investing time
No,
if
no, no.
with
No,
people.
no, no.
No?
Even saying you are is sounding like a positive.
Mm.
Sounds like that's a good thing. Oh, so you are going on dates. No, no. So you're going on dates with the wrong guys and going on dates with guys that doesn't go anywhere. And
Mm.
then she's like, oh shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Okay. So try that. I want you to ideally say it in your own words, but what I said is pretty much what it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it sounds like you're going on dates with guys you don't like, and those dates are not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily know that I don't like them before I go. It's just when I get there, I realize that I don't like them. Or if it's someone that I am fine with, then it will go a little bit longer, but yeah, it doesn't last long after.
Okay.
You see,
So,
you see
mm,
how because the wording you used was an essence of leading or an essence of assumptiveness, Faith
mm,
was able to come back on you and be like, well, I don't know that I didn't like them. Whereas if
mm,
I'd have said, you're going on dates with the wrong guys, she can't object to that because they are the wrong guys. Otherwise, it would have worked out. But you
mm,
phrased it as, so you're going on dates with guys that you don't like. Well, that's not true because she's not choosing to go on dates with guys that she doesn't like. She's choosing to go on dates with guys that she doesn't know if she's going to like, but they are the wrong guys. That is a fact. So you got to be very, very careful because, off the back of the rant we just did, if you
mm,
demonstrate any slight moments of lack of expertise, that's when you're going to have to follow up. That's when you're not going to close the deal. The slight lack of expertise is accuracy. Accuracy in what you're hearing, accuracy in what you're translating from what you hear to what you're about to summarize back, and then
mm.
accuracy in your ability to summarize it back exactly as it is, the truth for the truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, look at what Jordan said. So right now, you're going on dates with the wrong guys and going on dates with guys that doesn't go anywhere. And she's like, oh, shit. Yeah, that sounds bad. And it
Hmm.
sounds bad because it's the facts. Yeah. All right. Go again.
Absolutely. Okay. So it sounds like you're going on dates with the wrong guys and guys where it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. How many dates have you been on in the last 30 days?
I wouldn't go on such a big timeline given the fact that she's going on these dates with the wrong guys. I would be doing week by week because then
Mm,
we can time frame it. How much time is she spending in a week?
okay. So how many dates have you been on in the last week?
Two. I only go on dates on the weekends. During the week, I like to focus on myself. So usually just two or three times, just depending on what Friday, Saturday, or Sunday look like.
Okay. And so for these 2 dates you went on last week, how did you meet these guys?
Just organically, if someone maybe I meet a guy at the gym or connection through work or a work event, things like that.
Hmm. And so when you say 2 dates, was that 2 separate dates with 2 separate men?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, one on Friday and one on Saturday.
got it. And do you have a
Pause. Because we're talking about one of the consequences of her situation is wasting time, multiply the numbers out. So 2 dates with two guys. Got it. So you had 4 meetups in the last 7 days that were with the wrong guys that wasn't going to go anywhere. You see how I'm taking what she's saying and showing, okay, so 2 dates with two different guys, that's 4 total. That's a lot of wasted time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think in this context, I did interpret it was 1 date with 2 separate guys, so 2 dates total. In
Oh,
that
okay,
scenario,
fine.
would you recommend saying, okay, it's 2 to 3 dates a week, so over the last month, you've gone on 8 dates with 8 different guys?
Well, you'd need to ask her if that's the average run rate,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't be saying 2 to 3. I would say, okay, so in the last week, you've gone on 2 total dates with two different guys, and how much time did you spend on those dates? Oh wow, so you spent 6 hours total on in the last 7 days, right? So we're just adding everything up together, but I wouldn't be
Hmm.
assuming it's the same for the last month. Okay.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, and so you met these guys organically through the gym or in day to day. How long did you actually spend on these dates?
It's another thing. Be careful on the wording. You met the guys organically. We don't know anything about this person's professional life right now, so it might be a bit of a stretch. But if she has any connection to anything business related, as a general meme, organic, organic content, organic leads is a positive. So when
Mm,
you say, oh, so you met these guys organically. No, no, no. Oh, so that was just two random meets. random versus organic. You see the difference. Like when you say, oh, organically, it sounds like, oh, that's nice. You know, it's much better than doing things inorganically. No, no,
Mhm.
no. It was completely random, not
Right.
systematized, not predictable.
Mm.
You see the difference? Very subtle.
Absolutely. And so in that context, I used the word organic because I caught it's something that she had said and, was using her language. So in this situation, it would make more sense to sort of flip that towards a more negative and be like, okay, so these were just random meetups with guys who happened to approach you.
Well, remember how important our intention is because the prospect will feel it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not flipping it to negative. I'm
Mm.
flipping it to the truth.
Mm.
Her mindset is, oh, I'm just organically meeting guys. No, 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 no,
Mm.
no. You're living your life with no predictable, reliable system to generate meetups with the right guys that goes anywhere. The only dates that you're going on is when you happen to be in the gym, and because you don't have any other options, when some guy comes up to you that probably isn't the right guy, you end up wasting your time going on dates with the wrong guys. But she's framing it in her mind as a rationalization. Oh, it's organic. No,
Mm.
it's unpredictable and it's random. And it's not you being the selector of the right guys. It's the wrong guys coming into your life and infecting your time and your life and waste and literally ripping you out of your lifestyle and all of the other good things you've got going on because you haven't flipped the script the other way around. I'm massively exaggerating and explaining the point, but we
Yeah.
need to show the prospect the difference between the lies that they're telling themselves and the rationalization. So to summarize, in this case, I don't want to repeat back the prospect's word because it was a rationalization. I want to slightly warp it to closer to the truth. But I'm not doing that to be negative. I'm not doing that to put the prospect in pain. I'm doing that to show the prospect reality. If the
Right.
reality of a prospect situation is not enough that they're going to buy off their own back at the end of the call, that's totally fine. But we
Mm-hmm.
only have one ethical responsibility on a call, which is show the prospect reality.
Right.
That
And
reality is
her using the term organic is in a way rationalizing the fact that she has no systematic approach and that these are just randomly hoping for a guy to come up and interact with her.
literally. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right, keep going.
Okay. So it sounds like these were random, meetups with guys who had approached you. Do you have second dates planned with either of those guys?
I only have a second date planned with one of them.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, I only had 2 dates this past week, and the one it was terrible. I didn't like him at all. The other one was better, so I figured I'll just set up a second date with the one that was better.
Okay. In what way was he better?
No, 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 no. Because the way she said that was rationalizing. Well, he was better, but so I guess I figured I may as well just set up a date with him. That's
Mm-hmm.
the truth. It's not, oh, well, what was better about him? No, no, no. The truth is, it doesn't sound like he's really what you're looking for. Is that accurate? That's what I'm reading here. Faith
Mm-hmm.
says, yeah, that's accurate. So why are you even committing to a second date?
Mm-hmm.
Challenge the person, challenge the reality. Not, oh, well, what's better about him? Do you
Mm-hmm.
see the layers? Do you see the nuances? When Faith said that, the truth was the phrasing of, well, I guess he's kind of better than the shit one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so the first one was a 0 out of 10, and this guy's a 1 out of 10. Okay, have you gotten to the point where you don't want to continue rationalizing going on dates with better than the worst date you've ever been on? Yes. Why? Right? You see how it allows us to move the conversation forward in a minute. But
Mm-hmm.
if you go where you're going to go, you're going to be there forever in the discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Focus on the real essence of what's really going on, the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So this one guy was better, or you guess he's better. Is he really the type of person that you're looking for?
Long term, probably not. I just don't have any plans this upcoming weekend, so I figured why not.
Okay. And so I'm curious then, why, if he's not what you're looking for long term, entertain another date with him instead of trying something to find a more viable partner?
I wouldn't say trying something because she doesn't know what to try. So the
Mm.
question was good, but I wouldn't have added the try. Just,
Mm.
okay, so if you know he's not what you, and also because of what Faith said, we're now missing a clarifying question before you ask what you asked and what I asked. I didn't know that Faith was going to respond like that. Because Faith said, well, I don't have plans for right now, but this guy's not what I'm looking for long term. What is the clarifying question we need to ask next? Anybody got it? Are you looking for something short term or are you looking for something long term? If she says, oh, well, I'm just looking for something short term. Okay, great. That makes sense then. If she says, well, honestly, I'm looking for something long term. So why are you continuing to engage in a behavior that does the complete opposite of what you're looking for? Well, to be honest, Ian, because I don't have any other options. Okay, I'm curious then, how many times over the last 6 months have you engaged in a behavior that's completely the opposite of what you're looking for? Oh, it's hundreds. How many hours do you think you've spent doing that? Oh, thousands of hours. How do you feel investing 1,000 hours of your time into something that is taking you in completely the wrong direction to your dating goals? Oh, honestly, I feel shit. Why do you feel shit about that? Well, I'm 45 and I want kids soon. So let me ask you, Faith, have you gotten to the point where you're done taking short-term, oh, well, this is something's better than nothing. It's not what I'm looking for, but I don't have any other options. Have you gotten to the point when you're done going down that path and you now need to commit to going after what you truly want, which is something long-term? Yes. Why now? You see how if I get the next question right, every next question is just lined up. Whereas when you miss the next question or you try and jump to, what Josh gave as an example, which was without Faith having actually responded to the question, you're just going to go all off in the wrong fucking direction. Every step closer to the truth just opens up more of the truth. And it happens really quick, guys, if you nail this. I did that in 6 questions. I probably have another 6 questions and it's a paid in full and it's done. Does that make sense, guys? Are you seeing this?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense and absolute gold. My discoveries have been going way longer than they need to.
Just listen to what the prospect said. I'm going for something short term, but he's not what I'm looking for long term. Curiosity. What would your next question be? Well, what are you looking for? Like it's so obvious that that's the next question based on her behavior. She's behaving in a way which is clearly creating a fork in the road. Well, do you want short term or do you want long term? Well, really, Ian, I want long term. Are you at the point now where your wantingness for long term is enough that you're willing to stop the behavior of wasting your time on something short term that's not compatible? Or do you want to continue doing that behavior? No, honestly, now I'm done. Why? What changed? What was the turning point? Oh, the last date. What happened on the last date? Honestly, I was sat there with this guy realizing I'm running this pattern. I've been running it for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever. Okay, that makes sense. But what actually changed? Well, and then there'll be some external thing. Well, I went round to my grandma's house and she said to me, hey, Faith, when are we going to have a little grandchild? And you were like, oh, fuck, probably never at this rate because I don't have any decent viable options. Well, what was the issue when your grandma said that? Well, honestly, she said it to me, but I realized that I'm actually living incongruently with what I want in life. How much longer are you going to live incongruently? Are you done with that behavior? Blah, 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 blah. Make sense, guys? What's the bit about Matt Ryder here?
Makes perfect sense.
Braden, type it in the chat. But anyway, keep going in.
Okay, so are you looking for a short-term relationship?
No, I do want a long-term relationship.
Okay, and if you're feeling like this guy is not a good fit for that, why have another date with him next weekend?
Well, I don't know when I'm gonna find the right long-term relationship. So I just felt like it's better than sitting at home on the couch by myself.
Okay. How long have you known you do want a long-term relationship, but have been spending time with the wrong guys?
Beautiful. It's slightly different based on what Faith said. And look at how I'm playing chess. I don't know when I'm going to find the next guy. The next obvious question is, how long have you been trying to find the right guy? Because watch the next move. Well, it's been 12 months. Probably wouldn't be that. It'd be 3 years. So you've been trying for 3 years with what you're currently doing, and it hasn't worked. So how long do you think it's going to take, if ever, to find the right guy when you have a track record for 3 years of your current way of approaching dating not getting you the right guys? Now she has to face the reality of, Well, it's not this hypothetical when. When I find the right guy. Well, let's look at the track record. 3 years, you haven't found the right guy with what you're doing. So let me ask you, Faith, given that it hasn't worked for 3 years, are you at the point where you want to continue running a strategy that hasn't worked for 3 years and see if it might just miraculously have a different outcome to the last 3 years, or do you want a different strategy? You see how I'm showing the reality of like, well, let's look at the track record then, as opposed to Faith is still rationalizing. Everything's rationalizations, guys. Well, I don't know when it's going to happen. Okay, well, let's look at history. How long have you been looking? 5 years. How many of the right guys have you come across in the last 5 years? Zero. So if it hasn't worked at all, not even once for the last 5 years, are you going to continue using this rationalization of, well, I'll just keep going on dates with the wrong guys because I don't know when I'm going to find the right guy? Or are we on this call today because you know that that strategy is absurd and you need to make a change? Get them to commit. Does that make sense?
I'm forgetting where we were at in the role play.
So Faith just said, well, I'm going on dates with the wrong guys because I don't know when I'm going to find the right guy.
Okay. How long have you been looking for the right guy?
I would say about the past 5 years. I'm about to turn 40, so I really focused just like on myself and my career in my late 20s and my early 30s, and I built that up. But then once I got to a spot where I felt like I was doing good there, I was ready to start looking for a relationship. And yeah, that was probably around 35.
Okay. So been looking for the last 5 years. I'm curious, in this 5 years, how many times have you gone through this cycle of spending time going on dates and entertaining people who you know aren't long-term potential?
Nope, because
No.
now we want to see how has that worked for her as far as finding the right guys. Because what we need to box off is the rationalization of when I find the right guy. Well, if over the last 5 years she hasn't found any right guys, then we need to bring her attention, the mirror up to show her, well, if it's been like that for the last 5 years, it's probably going to be like that for the next 5 years. The next piece of missing information we don't have is, okay, so you've been looking for 5 years. Have you come across the right guy at all during those 5 years? If
Mm,
she says no to that question and we now have 5 year timeline and zero success, she cannot tell me that she doesn't need to make a change. It would be absolutely absurd for her to say, it hasn't got me one result for 5 years, and I'm just going to continue waiting for when the right guy comes along. Think if we change the context, it might make it easier to see. Someone comes to a business call because they want lead generation. Okay, got it. How many leads have you got in the last 30 days? Zero. Okay, what about in the last 6 months? Zero. How long has it been since you had a lead? 5 years. Okay, so it's been 5 years and you haven't had a lead. Are you at the point now where you're going to stop your current lead gen strategy and do something different? Yes. Why now? Do you see if I change the context, how obvious it is? I need to know the timeline and I need to know the results during that timeline. Everything, if we take everything to become abstract, I could be doing this with a dating offer, a fitness offer. Okay, so you're 320 pounds. How long have you been 320 pounds? 5 years. What changes of exercise programs have you done over the last 5 years? Oh, I've done the same exercise and same diet for the last 5 years. Have you ever lost weight? No. Huh. So you haven't lost any weight for 5 years following this plan and this exercise and this nutrition plan. So what I'm wondering is, how much longer are you going to follow a strategy that has proven to not work for 5 years? You see, if I just change the context, it's very obvious. Is that making sense?
yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right. Keep going.
Okay. And so in those 5 years, have you found anybody that would fit the mold of being the right guy?
No, there was a couple people that like I thought maybe, but like at most lasted a few months. So no one that yeah, I saw long term being the fit after spending a few months with them.
Okay. What did you see in those few months that made you feel like, let's say the last relationship wasn't going to be the right fit?
Doesn't really move the conversation forward. We're getting details on something 5 years ago. Think of at this point, what truly matters to this prospect is to make a change. So to make a change, we need to ask them, can they see the absurdity of 5 years, zero results, and any potential consideration to not change the way she's doing things. That's what's going to move the conversation forward. What was it about the guys, or tell me about the guys, or, why did you stay for 2 months? Doesn't really matter. What matters at this point is you've been trying this. I'm curious, are you done with that? Why are you done with that? What was the turning point? If we want to get into details, when we then future pace, which we would probably do on this example, we say, okay, so you've been meeting the wrong guys. Have you clarified what would be the right guys so that we have clarity on getting you out on dates with the right guys? What are some of those criteria? Okay, blank, blank, blank. But before we even get into hypothetical, we need to get into commitment. Can she see the reality of her situation? Do you see that, Ian?
Yes, I do see that. I do see that. My thought process behind why I asked that is because with our offer, a lot of it is internal work and their approach to the relationship. So the reason I ask what happened is because maybe this guy could have actually been the right, masculine man who is a good partner, but she didn't know how to accept that and show up, or she did accept somebody who was too feminine. And so really just getting that context on like, okay, well, what actually happened? What's the problem that we're trying to solve here? But
Beautiful. So you could do that that's fine. You could do that in two ways. But
mhm,
before we get into let's talk about options, we need to know, does she need new options, or does she want to
mhm,
continue with her old option? It's kind of like, you know, going into a clothes shop, and the first thing that happens is the server comes up to you and says, "Here's a jumper in 7 different colors. Which one do you like?" You'd be like, "Well, I wasn't even looking for a jumper yet."
mhm,
First thing someone comes into a clothes shop, you know, you'd ask them, not in this way, but are you looking for something? Yes. Okay, great. What are you looking for? Okay, great. Tell me some options for those. Oh, I like these 5 different colors. Before we get into options, we need to know that there's actually a need and a commitment to want to make a change. So I would get that commitment first, that she's done with the 5 years. And then
mhm,
after that, we could say, okay, got it. So what do you think meant that for 5 years, you kept attracting the wrong guys and didn't attract the right guys? Why do you think that happened? But I don't care why she thinks it happened, if before knowing the why, she is not telling me and telling herself that she needs to do something different.
mhm,
I could say, why do you think that happened? Oh, I think it was this, I think it was that, I think it was blah, 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 blah. Okay, got it. So we still haven't got the prospect to have her feet held to the fire and to say, I'm done. I need to make a change. Okay, beautiful. Now we've got that off the table. What needs to change? Why do you think you had
mhm,
that track record? Why do you think this is, us and what we provide is going to give you a new track record? Why do you need to make that change now? Right? We'll get into all of that later, but take the most important thing one by one by one. Most important thing was, when I find the right guy. Interesting. Well, how long have you been trying to find the right guy? 5 years. What what results have you had? Haven't found any. Huh. So if you haven't found any for the last 5 years, are you at the point now where you need to do something different? Yes. Okay. Interesting. Why do you feel you didn't find the right guys for 5 years? Well, because of this, this, this. Okay. Why do you say those things? Well, because of this, this, this. Okay. So what do you feel you do need to find the right guys? This, and this. Okay. Makes sense. Why, if you do you feel like we're the people to give you those things? Well, for this reason, this reason, this reason. Okay. Beautiful. So what I'm wondering is, you've been running this strategy for 5 years, hasn't worked. You were doing this wrong. You didn't have this right thing. Was there a turning point when you had this realization of what you were missing, but also the time and effort and everything else that you were losing because of not making a change? Yes. What was that turning point moment? Okay, it makes total sense. So let me ask you then, how much longer are you willing to feel blank, 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 because you don't have these things, you do have these wrong things, and therefore you're continuing to run a cycle of spending 5 years having no results towards your end goal of finding a long-term partner? How much longer? That's it. The call's done. Make sense?
makes sense.
Beautiful. All right, keep going.
Okay, so 5 years, had a couple, maybe a few month relationships, just haven't found the right guy. Are you at a
You
point
you you
now?
you downplayed that and rationalized it. Yo, so for
Mm,
5 years you had a couple of relationships. No, no, no. For 5 years you didn't have a single person that met your goal.
Hmm.
Be clear to the prospect. Don't rationalize with them. Okay.
Okay. So over the last 5 years, have not found the right partner who did meet your goals. Are you at the point where,
Emphasize it. It's not for 5 years you haven't found the right partner. For 5 years, you haven't found a single man that meets your long-term goals. Details. The details are what sells the person. Show when we hold the mirror up, you're not going to see much in the mirror if that mirror is misty. That's what you're doing. You're telling Faith, look, this is an exaggeration, Faith, so don't take this literally. Look at your ugly face in the mirror, but the mirror is misty. Well, she's like, well, I don't really see anything. No, no, no. You have to wipe that mirror crystal clear and then hold it as close to her face as you possibly can. And then she's like, I look like that. My situation looks like that. That's terrible. Whereas what you're doing is saying, okay, so 5 years, you had a couple of short-term relationships. She's like, yeah, not that bad. No, 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 no. Wow, 5 years, not a single guy. And you have a long-term goal of meeting a long-term partner and you have wasted 5 years. Holy shit. How many more days are you going to waste? Not another day. Well, why not? What changed? Right? Reality. Okay. Do it again.
okay, so you have not met a single man who meets your goals over the last 5 years. Are you at a point now where you feel like you need a
That was
change in
that
your
was that was
approach?
that was perfect, but pause after the summary. Make her feel it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we're summarizing the reality and then you're just steamrolling over her having to absorb that reality. So that was perfect. But say the statement, pause, look her in the face, look her in the eyes, make her realize that you know what's going on and she can't hide behind her lies or her rationalizations. She ain't going to pull the wool over your eyes. And then she sees you as an expert. Okay. So do it again.
Okay. So you have not found a single man who meets your goals over the last 5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
Pause, pause. I want you to see this. Even though you're playing a prospect, Faith, how did that feel compared to the 4 previous versions that we just did?
Yeah, I actually like had to face it because then he just like stopped and like waited till it sank in versus the last time. Like, yeah, he did steamroll over it. It was like, yeah, but like before I could even like acknowledge it in my own head, he had already moved on.
Okay, let me do a demonstration. I'm going to make you feel it. I'm going to make you sit in it, but I'm going to go back to one of the previous ones Ian said. Okay, so for the last 5 years, you've had a couple of short-term relationships.
Yeah.
So different compared to, so for the last 5 years, you haven't had a single man that met your criteria that you want a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Even Faith is playing a prospect and her tonality changes. And she's playing a prospect. She's not being she's not even a real prospect. The tonality of the response changes because it's like, you can't hide from it, guys. You cannot hide. Even if you're playing a prospect, you can't hide from the truth. Yeah. Do you see that? Do you feel the difference, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Keep.
Okay. So you haven't met a single man who meets your goals of a long-term relationship in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you at a point now where you feel like you need a change in your approach?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Why?
Well,
Guys, Ian, beautiful. Can you see this, guys? This is progress. This is mastery. Well done, Ian. This is really good. Can you all see the difference? This is what a real discovery looks like. This is what a real discovery is. This is what a real discovery feels like. Pop in the chat, guys, if you're still here, if you can see what's going on now. This is real closing. Let's go. Yes, well done. I can see. Well done, Ian. Well done. Keep going. This is good.
Okay. Why?
well, it hasn't worked over the last 5 years. And like I said, I am turning 40, so I do feel like time's ticking.
Right. And I mean, I know it was 5 years ago where this became a priority and time started ticking. What happened 5 years ago that made you realize this is something important for you to get figured out?
I wouldn't go back to 5 years ago.
No.
Stick on the 2 most relevant things that she said were I'm turning 40 and time's ticking.
Hmm. Okay.
Stop. Very rarely do we need to ask a question where we're kind of looking for an area to talk about. 9 out of 10 times, the next question comes from the last words out of the prospect's mouth. Sometimes they'll say something and you're like, I don't really have a deeper thing to go from that. So I'm going to ask about, past relationships or future pacing or whatever. But 9 out of 10 times, just listen to what the prospect said. She said, well, I'm turning 40 and time's ticking. Now, look at this. This is really important, guys. Who here in the chat, including Ian and including Faith, doesn't know what Faith, the prospect, means by time's ticking? Does everybody know what she is referring to when she says time is ticking? Kids. But, that's interesting. I actually... Okay, beautiful. That demonstrates the point even better. I actually thought it's probably going to be kids. What I was going to say is Faith didn't say that, though. But even better demonstration from Faith that it may not have even been kids. So when Faith says time's ticking, and all of us, including me, were like, well, she's meaning kids, level 1 mistake would have been to just assume that she means talking about kids, and therefore you think that Faith and you are on the same page. Level 2 mistake is we've now realized it wasn't even about kids. So this is what I'm talking about being professional, and beautiful demonstration after the rant. If Ian at this point did not clarify what time is ticking, this is when you would have to follow up, because the prospect doesn't trust you. They do not want to buy from you. Then when you're following up like a little broke peasant, they are not going to respond to you, or they're going to lie to you, or they're still not going to buy. They're not going to buy, not because you didn't have the right text message in your little follow-up playbook, your little fanny pack of text messages and emails. They don't respond because of what just happened here in the discovery. Nothing to do with, I must have had a full stop instead of a exclamation mark in my text message follow-up sequence. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's right now you dropped the ball. Oh, okay, Faith's talking about time's ticking for kids. Beautiful. I'll move on to the next question. No. What's ticking?
Right. And you're exactly right, where the reason I went back to ask about 35 is because I assumed it was kids. And she would say, well, when I was 35, I realized I really did want to have a family, and it's been 5 years now where that hasn't happened. And so it's like, okay, so what point are you at now? And she's like, yeah, I need to get this figured out like right now. But it's because of an assumption that I made that wasn't actually based on what you told me.
Correct. And there is 0.0000001% chance that the prospect is going to correct a closer that has made an assumption and then goes down a line of questioning around about the assumption. Prospects aren't like, if you'd have assumed it's kids and then said a question to Faith, something like, okay, so what happened 5 years ago that you realized time was ticking and you want kids? There is no prospects in the big picture that are going to turn around and say, well, it's not really kids that I was talking about, it's blank. They are just going to go along with the conversation and then tell you at the end of the call that their decision-making process is that they need to pray on it, having never prayed in their entire life and being an atheist. They're just going to tell you this bullshit because they don't care about lying to you. Most prospects are not going to feel like they need to challenge the closer who got something wrong. They're just going to go along with it. Oh, okay, tell me all the details about the offer, because they think they're on the call to get information. They get the information, you drop the price, and they go, well, I have a decision-making process. I always pray about things. Oh, really? How long have you been religious? Well, I've never not actually been religious, but I'm just going to tell you that, right? Expertise, guys. Demonstrate expertise. All right, so go back and then start from the clarifying.
Okay, so in what way is time ticking?
Well, like I said, I'm turning 40, and I spent, like I said earlier, my 20s, most of my 30s working really hard. And I worked so hard for so many years to get to where I'm at, and I did really well for myself, and I made a lot of money, but I don't feel like I've really gotten to enjoy life. I haven't taken a week off and gone on vacation. I haven't gotten to travel. And I feel like at this point I've worked so hard, but I haven't gotten to actually enjoy life yet. And who knows? Like I said, I'm turning 40. By the time I'm 60 or 70, it might be harder to move around or to travel. And I really want to be able to enjoy life while I still can.
Okay. And what about having a life partner would enable you to enjoy life?
Okay,
Well,
slight change, but it's the exact right question, but you've put it upside down. What you're asking is the hypothetical future. What would be nicer after you've bought, after you've got the results in 3 years' time when you're in a relationship? Hypothetical is not very powerful. Instead of saying what would be nicer as far as enjoying life, what are you not enjoying about your life right now by not having the right partner? Do
Hmm.
you see the difference? Right now,
Absolutely.
what is shit about your life because you can't enjoy by not having the right partner, as opposed to talking about the future, is just not powerful. You're removing their feet from the fire. You're taking the mirror away, and you're just now having this chit chat about, let's sit around a campfire and eat s'mores and talk about folk tales about in 5 years when you're married and you've got kids and you're enjoying life, or whatever it is. It's not reality. Let's talk about right now. Yeah. You see the difference there, everybody in the chat?
Yeah, a huge shift.
Massive shift.
It's
But
like
you
what's going
had
to
the
change
right
in the
question.
right. Right. It's
You
like
had the
what's going
right
to change in
question.
the future versus like what actually sucks right now.
Yeah. Okay, so right now you don't have the right partner, and you mentioned enjoying life. So what are you not enjoying? In what way are you not enjoying life by being single and or going on dates with guys that are not what you're looking for, and having casual sex, or that's a bit of an assumption, but having casual relationships on a week by week basis with guys that something's better than being alone at home, right? So we're taking everything she said, putting it into our question, but staying on the right now, the pain. Yeah, makes sense. But you knew where you were going, which is good.
Okay. So in what way does not having that partner hold you back from enjoying life right now?
well, like I said, I really want to be able to travel and enjoy life that way. And yeah, I could go on a week-long trip by myself to a really, really nice place, but I just think it would be really enjoyable to share those experiences with someone else. And I don't really want to spend all that time and money to just go somewhere really nice and just be lonely there. I could just be lonely at home.
Did
Okay.
everybody spot the rationalization? Did you spot it, Ian?
I don't think so. I think I missed it.
So she's trying to rationalize that it's about travel. But what
Hmm.
she admitted to herself at the very end, very subtly, was wherever she is in the world, she's taking the loneliness with her. But she's trying to wrap it up in the lie about, oh, well, it'd be nice to go on a holiday with someone. No, 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 no. What you've realized is wherever you go in life, you can't escape feeling lonely. You don't want to be lonely at home. You don't want to be lonely on a trip somewhere. But what's actually really good about this prospect is she's actually realized she's beyond the stage of, you know what, I'm lonely at home. Let me just take myself on a trip. She's already smart enough that she's realized that ain't going to solve the problem. So she's like one step ahead. Like, you wouldn't close a prospect that was like, I'm really lonely at home. Okay. You get to the end of the call, you tell her it's 10 grand, and she in her mind thinks, well, I'm pretty lonely at home. I could probably just spend that 10 grand and take myself on a holiday and I'll probably feel fine. Probably won't be lonely anymore. I'm on a cruise ship having a great time. I've gone to see Bali, whatever. I've gone to do some yoga retreat. That would be what that type of prospect would do at the end of the call. They'd rationalize it and they wouldn't buy. This is a good prospect that's like, I don't have any other option. I have to invest money to fix my dating life because otherwise I'm going to feel lonely no matter what I do. Does that make sense, guys? So the best way to go from there is probably to just summarize that back to her and say, okay, so you mentioned you're lonely at home, and you've also now mentioned that whilst you could do what a lot of people do and try and run from that loneliness and take a trip somewhere, you've already come to the realization that that isn't going to solve the problem. Is that accurate? Yes. Why? Why did you have that realization? Well, I've thought about it, or I went on a trip and it turned out shit because I thought I was going to have a great time. How much did you spend on that trip? Oh, $5,000. Now we've got some price anchoring. You know, she spent 5 grand on the trip thinking it was going to solve the problem. Our program is 10 grand. Now we've got some price anchoring. She could have spent that 5 grand on solving the problem. You see how we're going, connecting all these things together? Yep. All right. So keep going in.
Okay. So you've realized you're feeling lonely at home and that if you did travel, that you would just be feeling lonely while you travel. What brought you to that realization?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into different trips and different places to go, but I think when I picture myself going and being there and then actually getting there. Like I'm thinking about being there for a week and like at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be there by myself for a week, which just I don't know what am I gonna do by myself? Sit there by myself, even if I'm somewhere really nice, I'm still gonna be by myself.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And so if it's not a trip or travel, what do you feel will actually have to change?
I'm gonna have to find a partner that's right for me first.
Okay. And what do you need to actually find that partner?
Contextualize it. So what would be
Mm.
the context, Ian, to make the question more powerful based on everything we know thus far?
So what do you think would need to change to make sure you're not wasting more time going on dates with the wrong guys?
How much time? How much time has she wasted?
Uh, 6 hours within the last week, 2 3 hour
In
dates,
in total, what's the bigger number,
5 years.
right? And
Hmm.
then also, instead of talking about the hypothetical future, it would be better to talk about the past because the past is reality. So I'd say, okay, that makes total sense. So what do you feel has meant that for the last 5 years, you haven't met the right guy? Oh, I think it's this and this and this. And that ties into what you were saying before, that you need to get into the things that connect to your offer. Okay, that made you pick those things. Okay, makes total sense. Why, if you do you feel like we're the people to get that solved for you? And then now we're now creating the bridge. We're bridging the gap. But it's always better to talk about what they haven't had that's caused them to be stuck in the situation they're in, rather than what they do need to get out of the situation.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's a recurring theme of something I need to adjust.
Yep. All right, do it again.
Okay. So, I mean, what do you feel over the last 5 years held you back from being able to create that relationship?
Yeah, like I said, it's not going on dates. It's just more so I don't know where to find the right guy. Like I do find guys, it's just I don't know where to look for the right guy.
Okay. What have you been trying to find the right guy?
I haven't really been trying. I just let people come up to me and if they ask me out and if it seems like it might be a decent fit, then I'll go along with it.
Sure. And I mean, why not just continue letting guys to come up to you and hope it's a decent fit?
It's just such an obvious question, though. Like we've already talked about that. Well, because
Mm.
they're the wrong guys. So it's like if we were to say this was a real call and we got the transcript at the end, and one of the things that I've taught you guys to do is to review the call and make the transcript better, that would have been a question where we can just remove that whole question. It didn't have any value to moving the call forward. We already know
Mm.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So try again, but I wouldn't use that question.
Okay, so just waiting for guys to come up. Okay, so in what way moving forward do you think you would need to find the right person or would need to adjust to find the right person?
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
Yeah, so excuse me if my question wasn't super clear. What do you feel would need to change moving forward in your approach to find the right person?
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm going to the right spots. Like I said, and like if it's someone that asked me out at the gym, like that hasn't worked out. So I don't really, like I said, don't know where to look or where to go where I would be meeting guys that are actually the type of person that I'm looking for.
So the rationalization right now, anybody spot it?
Is that
Guys,
she's
if you
saying she doesn't know where to look, but she hasn't been looking?
nope, not quite. Guys, as you go through these role play trainings, the things I'm going to teach you about rationalizations, it's not going to happen in a number of weeks, guys. It's also not going to happen in 4 months. But if you're in this mastermind for 12 months, 18 months, and you learn all of these ways people rationalize, they are abstract, meaning doesn't matter whether I'm selling dating, crypto, health, whatever. And when you master all of these rationalizations, it's like seeing the matrix. So let me give it to you, and then you'll be like, oh. The rationalization she's making is like, oh, well, I don't know where to look. So I'm just at home the whole time because I don't leave the house to go to where the right honey holes are for guys. No, no, no. She doesn't sit at home all day. She goes to the gym, she goes to work, she walks on the street, she goes to the grocery shop, she goes to all of these different places, but she's not meeting the right guys. The rationalization was, oh, well, I don't know where to go, as if she just sits at home all day and therefore doesn't go anywhere. Well, we know that's not true because she's not a hermit, right? And I assume, Ian, for your offer, part of your offer is probably like the spiritual side of things, as far as like why are they not attracting the right guys and bumping into the right guys when they are out and about. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Exactly. Which you can't sell that to Faith if the rationalization she's hiding behind is I don't leave the house. How are you going to connect it to your offer? Oh, well, we have pillar 2 of our offer is, you know, how to make sure that when you're out and about that you actually attract these right guys. And she's hiding behind this rationalization of, well, I just sit at home all the time and I don't know where to look. We don't sell her a list of honey holes of where to go. We need to go a layer deeper, which is she does go out the house. And when she does go out the house, she either doesn't come across any of the right guys, or she's at the gym and the wrong guys approach her instead of the right guys. What is it about her feminine energy? What is it about her vibe? What is it about her communication style? Whatever it is, which means that she has that reality. Now you've connected it to your offer. And the way we connected it was to see the rationalization. I don't know where to look. That
Okay.
is, let me change the context, guys, and show you how obvious this rationalization is in a different context. Guy wants to get into, no, let me use an even easy one. Person is struggling to lose weight. They're 320 pounds. And you ask them, okay, so for 5 years, you haven't been able to lose weight. Why do you think that is? Well, I don't know what exercises to do. You'd be like, are you retarded? Like, go on Google and go on YouTube. Like, that's not an excuse.
Right.
You
It's
see
like
how
saying I don't know which gym to go to. It's like it just doesn't
exactly?
make
Yeah.
sense.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to go to a gym. Huh? What? Right. Your next question be, well, how many gyms are around you? 45. It's like the one for those that were on the call with Lee. Oh, you know, I was in London. So what? There's no gyms in London? Same rationalization. You see how these are all abstract, guys. What you need to learn to spot is lies. Lies people tell themselves, and they'll also be the same lies you tell yourself. That is what leadership is seeing the truth behind the lies. That's all masterful closing is. I don't know where to look. Okay, so in the last 7 days, what activities have you done? Well, I went to a social event, you know, I went to the cinema, I went to the gym. Interesting. Did you bump into any of the right guys in any of those places? No. How many hours, if you were to ballpark the number, would you say you've been out the house in the last 7 days? Oh, I don't know, 20 hours. So why do you think for 20 hours outside the house in a range of different environments that I think we could both agree have guys in them, why do you think you're not attracting guys, and more specifically, the right guys? Now we're getting deeper and we're now getting into what you're going to sell her, which is changing her internal stuff. Is this all making sense, guys? Could do the same for fitness, could do the same for crypto, could do the same for dating. I can sell anything to anybody because I'm selling the human to no longer hide behind the lies. I don't need to know what I'm selling. For Victoria, if they say they don't know to why it's happening, 2 things. I'd say, okay, well, you know, you've been in this situation for 5 years, so do you want to take a second to think about it? That's version 1, that you tell them to think about it. Remember, what you're selling them on the call is that they haven't spent time to actually think about it. So that's why we're on the call. Take a minute and think about it. Oh, I've never thought about it. Okay, well, now's your chance. Or do you want to spend another 5 years not thinking about it, right? If they say, I don't know, that's not an issue. After they have a minute to think about it, if they still don't know, then you can offer some options. Okay, well, you know, people come to us typically because even though they are leaving the house and they're spending 20 hours a week outside the house in multiple different environments, yet they're not meeting the right guys, typically they come to us because that's one of a couple of reasons. Reason number 1, blank. Reason number 2, blank. Do you find yourself sitting in one or both of those camps? Oh, yeah, I'm in both of those. Okay, why'd you say that? So you can offer them some options, but ideally, I don't want to have to do that. But if you have to, yes, that's why you're on the call. And then when you offer them options and they say, oh, yeah, it's that one, just like we've been doing with the previous part of this call, you need to actually be reading their body language and their tonality. Not are they just saying yes, but they don't actually believe that. If they say yes and they don't actually believe it and you aren't sharp enough to pick up on that, then again, you're not going to close the deal. If they say yes, but their body and their body language says no, you need to say, I appreciate you said yes, but I get the sense that you're not so sure about that. Yeah, no, I'm not really sure about that. Okay, why are you not sure about that? Okay, so if it's not that, what do you think it could be? And then now, because you've given them some options, their mind might be expanded and they can see some other options. Yeah? Is this clear, Ian? Is this clear for everybody?
Yep, absolutely.
Beautiful. All right, keep going. We've got probably 15 more minutes, guys.
Okay. So in the last 7 days, you had mentioned the gym. What other places have you gone?
Mm, the gym. I did have to go to one, dinner for work, grocery store, gas station once. Just kind of the basic places.
Okay. And so gym, grocery store, dinner for work. How many hours would you say you spent out of the house this week?
So before I would go there, because of the answers Faith gave, I would
Hmm.
want details. So I'd say, okay, gym. If you were to just ballpark the number, or you could just give me a small, medium, large, is your gym like one of those boutique gyms where there's like 5 people in there, or is it like
Hmm.
there's 200 people in the gym and there's loads of different members? Just role play with me, Faith, so we can go through this quick. Like, as far as your gym, there's all sorts of different types of gyms. Is this like a boutique gym where there's like, 2 women and 2 guys and you're, in the gym, or is it like a big gym where there's lots of people?
Yeah, it's like a big open gym. Like if I go in, there's probably, I don't know, 30 to 50 other people in there at the same time.
Okay. And if you were to ballpark it, let's just say there's 50 people, is it 50% men, 50% women, or is it like, 90% women and there's basically no guys there?
No, probably like 75% men, 25% women.
Okay. And I know physical is not the only thing that we're looking for, but it's the first thing. Of those 75% men, at least just physically, do you think some of those guys would be compatible for what you're looking for?
At least five of them probably.
Okay. And okay, so that's 5. And is that like 5? It's the same guy, it's the same 5 guys every single week, or are you saying with how many members there are in the gym, every week there's like 5 options of guys, at least just physically, that could be, worthy of a date?
Well, I usually go like at the same time every day, so it's always like the same people there,
Okay.
and I usually see like the same like five decent looking guys.
Makes total sense. And then of those 5 guys, I know you haven't probably spoken to them, so you don't know, but you're a woman and women are very intuitive. Do you look at them physically and think they're physically attractive, but they're probably like there's nothing else really going on? Or do you look at them and think, you know what, that could potentially be a guy that could be worth going on dates with?
Yeah, out of the five, I would say like maybe one or two that could
Okay.
have potential.
Okay, beautiful. So that's there. And then what about this work dinner? How many people were at the work event as far as in your group?
Well, it was like a big event. Like there was probably 100 people from
Okay.
the community there, and then like who I was with, I sat at a table with like maybe 10 people.
Okay. And ratio of guys to girls at your table and at the event?
I would say like an even mix.
Okay, 50-50. And then you mentioned going to the groceries, going to the gas station, stuff like that. Do you ever come across guys that you see at the groceries or at the gas station that you think, you know what? Maybe if I actually had figured this side of my life out, that could have turned into some compatible dates.
Probably not at the gas station, but
Okay.
at the grocery store.
At the groceries. Okay, awesome. So even in the last week, there's been 1 or 2 guys at the gym. There's been 50 guys. I know they're not all compatible, but there's been 50 guys at the work dinner. You go to the groceries every week. Is that a typical week for you? Or sometimes do you do more activities, or leave the house more often where you bump into males?
Yeah, I would say like that's the average week,
Okay.
like Monday through Friday, but there are weekends where maybe like I'll go out for lunch or dinner, or like went shopping or something to the mall once a month. Like there's times where it
Okay.
could be more.
Okay, got it. So you go to the mall as well. That, bumps up your options. So what I'm wondering is, do you think you're not going to the right places or not being in the right place at the right time, and that's the issue? Or do you think there's something deeper here that is you are coming across guys, but for some reason it's not turning into an interaction?
I felt like I wasn't going to the right place. In my mind, I was thinking like I would need to go to a place where there's like a bunch of my type and like I get to pick from there. But since you phrased it that way, yeah, I'm sure like I've had to come across someone that's my type and I don't know, maybe just not realized it or maybe just not actually interacted with them.
Okay, so maybe not realizing it, and then also either you not interacting or them, the right guy not interacting with you. And then there's a part of you that, which is completely accurate, that there could be some improvements to where you go that might have a better array of compatible guys. So it's kind of a bit of both. One problem is there could be some places that you're not going to because you don't know what you don't know, but also the places that are within your schedule and have been within your schedule for 5 years, you might not be realizing that you're coming across the right guys, or they're not interacting with you, you're not interacting with them. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see what I'm doing there, Ian? I'm getting the details. And even just by clarifying roughly how many people in the gym, the work dinner, the groceries, Faith's now like, oh, actually, maybe my rationalization isn't quite as grounded as I thought it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
And then we would go deeper, which is okay. So we'll talk about maybe some better places to meet more compatible guys. What I am curious about is with what you do have available to you right now and have had available for the last 5 years, why do you think you might not be realizing the right guys when they're literally in front of you?
Well, I think like I always want a guy to come up to me and like ask me out.
Okay.
And I feel like maybe because of my age, like maybe if there was a guy that was my type, like maybe they would like assume that I'm married or something like that. Like I don't know if people realize that I'm looking.
I mean, do you think you look your age?
No, I think I look a little bit younger actually.
Okay, so why do you think in your own words that guys wouldn't know that you're looking? I mean, do you think guys walk around the streets looking for a girl to have "I'm looking" as a bumper sticker on her forehead, or?
No, but like I don't know. Like even if I'm 40 and if I think I look like I'm 35, I just feel like, oh, if I'm at the grocery store getting my groceries, like I don't know, how would a guy know that I'm single and looking versus like buying
But
groceries for my
my my
family?
my well, my question, Faith, is where do guys go apart from dating apps or apart from like a matchmaking, speed dating event where they know that a woman is looking? Is that like real? That guys go places and they know a woman's looking, or do they see a woman that is attractive, giving off the right energy, and they're like, oh, I just want to see if she's single?
Yeah, I guess that they wouldn't know unless I was on a dating app. Yeah, they wouldn't know if I was looking or not.
So it sounds like you have two options. You either go on dating apps, go to a speed dating event every week where you can now hold on to this rationalization that a guy needs to know that the woman is definitely looking before he's going to interact, or you need to find a way where you are giving off an image or a vibe, whatever we want to call it, in normal places where a guy does want to come up to you and see if you're single. So, given that those are your two options right now, which one of those would you prefer to do?
I'd rather meet someone in person for sure.
Okay. And so that's perfect. And so you want to meet someone in person. So, why do you think, knowing that you do? Oh, in fact, another question I needed to ask you is, you said you're 40, but you look 35. Do you think there are guys out there that would look at you and would want to come up to you regardless of the fact that you look 35? Or is that a deal breaker and there's no guys left that would come up to you?
No, I don't think it's a deal breaker.
Okay, so why are they not coming up to you?
I mean, I don't know why they're not coming up to me. like I said, I feel like maybe it was if they didn't know that I was looking, but maybe I'm acting like I'm not looking.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, if like you said that I guess guys don't know, they don't care, they just will come up and ask if they're interested. But if I'm giving off a vibe that I'm totally not interested, I could see that someone wouldn't even try if that's the vibe I was giving off.
Do you think you give off that vibe?
I hadn't really thought of it before, but if no one's coming up to me, probably. If no
So
one
my
I if no one I want is coming up to me, then probably.
so then the most important question is, why are you giving off a vibe to the guys that are out there that you want to meet, that you're not looking when you are looking and you do want to meet them? Why is there an incompatibility in how you're giving off a vibe compared to what you actually want to attract?
I just don't want to come across as like, oh, I'll go on a date with anyone, but I don't know how to like come across as that as someone that wouldn't go on a date with anyone, but still come across as someone that's open to going out on a date.
How much clarity do you feel you have, let's call it energetically, in giving off the energy to the right guys that you are looking, but not giving off that same energy to the wrong guys? Do you feel you've ever, I guess, been trained on that or been coached through getting clarity over those things?
No. No, I don't know if I know how.
Because it sounds like the energy you're giving off is not attracting the right guys, attracting the wrong guys, and then pushing away the right guys. In other words, the vibe that you're giving off is just sabotaging you from meeting these right guys. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I am going on dates, but it's just not with people I want. So yeah.
Do you think there's anything else aside from this incongruency with what you're giving off that is why you're not meeting the right guys?
No, I don't think so because I think if I did meet the right guy, like everything would be good from there. So I do think it's just that initial, maybe like how to meet someone or what to look for, like you said, what kind of energy to give off.
And so, what I'm wondering is, what was it about us and what we do as far as changing those energies and getting clarity over those energies and redirecting those energies that attracted you to want help with this from us?
Yeah, well, I watched one of your videos and something that like turned me off from other dating sites is like I am a little bit older and a little bit more mature and definitely established. So I don't want to just get on a dating site where I could be matched with anyone. So I felt like I really related to the fact that in the video there was a girl that was my age, established in her career, and I felt like like when I watched that video, I'm like, that's me.
Makes sense. Guys, watch what I'm about to do here. I'm going to take Faith's words and phrasing, which is how people see things, and use it back against her to actually wrap everything up. There was two words that Faith used, which were very unique words when she was describing herself. Put them in the chat if you got one of them or both of them, and then watch what I'm about to do. Mature, that was one of them. What was the other one? Established. Well done,
Mm.
guys. Watch this. Got it. That makes total sense, Faith. So, what I'm really hearing as far as the problem here, and please tell me if this is accurate, is your desires and your accomplishments, what you want and having, everything going for you to be able to have those things is very established and it's very mature. But the signals that you're giving off are very unestablished and very, immature, if we could say that. And therefore, you've got this, big chasm, this big void that you're trying to cross from, I have everything going for me. I'm successful. I look 5 years younger than I actually am. I know what I want. I've been wanting that for 5 years. You've got everything established on the front end, but on the back end, you actually becoming the woman that has established and matured the vibes and the signals and the energies and the, taking those desires and turning them into accomplishing those has not been developed and is very unestablished. Does that sound accurate to you?
Yeah, because I never really thought of it that way, but the guys that I have been going out with are how you describe they're unmature and unestablished, and that's why it's not working out.
Makes total sense. So what I'm wondering is, how much longer do you want to have this incongruency between the maturity and the establishment of what you want and having the ability as far as who you are as a woman to attract that versus the establishment and the maturity of you actually being able to turn that into reality? How much longer do you want to have that incongruence, and as a result of that, be spending 5 years being alone, feeling lonely, not going on holidays because you know you're just going to take the loneliness with you, and then going and doing things like hooking up with guys for a few dates or maybe more, knowing that it's not even what you want to be doing? How much longer do you want to have that incongruence in your life?
Not much longer. I don't want to go another five. Like it's already been 5 years. I don't want to go another 5 years.
Makes sense. I mean, you said not much longer and you don't want to go another 5 years. You can go as many more days as you'd like.
Yeah, I don't want to go any more days.
Why not?
Well, the longer it takes me to figure it out, the longer it's going to take me to find that person, and the longer it delays like everything I want to do with that person.
Well, let's be clear and let's be honest. Is it that it's just going to take longer? And as we were saying at the beginning of this call, well, I don't know when I'm going to meet that person. Or if you don't change and establish and mature the energy that you're giving off and the signals you're giving off, what is the likelihood that you ever find this guy, given that it's been 5 years of you not finding him?
Yeah, it probably would be very low likelihood if ever.
Put a percentage on it. 100% being, I'm going to find that guy and it's probably pretty soon, and 0% being, there's a possibility, whether it's another 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that I actually never attract that guy, given the track record of not doing it for the last 5 years. What would the percentage be that some random thing is going to change now?
3%.
So how much longer do you want to continue having a 3% chance that you ever get out of being lonely? Or if I put it another way for you, how much longer do you want to have a 97% guarantee that you're going to continue to being lonely, continue to not go on holidays, continue to go on dates with the wrong guys, and continue to just have the clock ticking?
Not another day.
Okay, beautiful. All right, you see how even on the how much longer question, she tried to rationalize back to the first bullshit that she gave at the front of the call. I'm not letting her off that. Now, this recording is completely disconnected to the rant that's going to be on YouTube at a different time, but the rant that we just had was on follow-up. What is the likelihood that whether Faith buys on this call or doesn't buy on this call, that I'm going to need to be chasing her down to follow up? Whether she buys right now or she doesn't buy right now, she is not going to forget the way I just made her feel in that end part of the conversation. She doesn't need me texting her to remind her how shit she just felt. She may buy right now. She may need 12 hours to move the money around. She may need 24 hours to pray on it. I really don't care. She's going to buy. Or if she wasn't going to buy right now, I know that I did absolutely everything in my power, that I have no guilty conscience to not send her a text message in a week and say, how's things going? Have you decided to make any progress or making a decision? I don't need to do that. I did my job now. My job is done. And she most probably would have just bought right now anyway. Does that make sense, everyone? How you feeling, Ian? I'm seeing you smiling away. So what's going on?
Good, man. Just some massive shifts for me to implement moving forward. I think consistently the way I've been asking questions has been, in a sense, future pacing of what they want to see change or what it would look like in the future, as opposed to, okay, well, why is that actually a problem right now? Or like,
Yeah.
what was it over the last 5 years that caused the problem, as opposed to what do we need to change now so the next 5 years doesn't look that way? Is just a, foundational shift to how I'm going to be approaching asking questions. And then along with that, I've been allowing their rationalizations by summarizing using the same words that they are, to communicate that I am listening and understanding what they're saying. But that shift is going to be absolutely massive of transitioning the summaries I give from, using their words and allowing that rationalization to getting to the core truth of what they said and making them acknowledge it without rationalizations. So just, just really good stuff and looking forward to to applying it. Thank you, Josh.
My pleasure, brother. As far as that final one of taking their rationalizations, let me give you a visual to view it. Imagine there's you and there's the prospect, and you've got this jug of water that you're passing back and forth between you, and it's this glass jug so you can see inside. And when you ask a question, you're passing the jug to the prospect. When they answer the question, they're passing it back to you. Okay? But when they answer the question, they decide to put some dirt or dye or something that changes the color and changes the purity of the water. So you ask them a question and they say their question with a bunch of rationalizations in, and they've now depurified the water and they pass it back to you. So you've now got the jug back and it's dirty. And then when you summarize, if you just take what they said to you and you don't purify it, you're just giving them back the dirty water. Instead, if they answer the question with a bunch of rationalizations, and so they've now handed the dirty water back to you, you don't change the water and, put the jug over there and give them back something else. That is changing their words, and that is manipulating their words or not listening. What you are doing is saying, you've now depurified the water. I'm going to filter it, and then I'm going to pass it back to you. And we're going to look at this water for what it really is, the purity, the accuracy, the real representation of what it is. Does that make sense as far as a visual? You're not changing their words. They've dirtied the water, and if you just summarize it back to them, you're saying, "Oh, you've handed me this dirty water. You wanted me to drink that shit. No worries. I'll just pass it back to you and you can drink it." That's not very ethical. That's like, I'm going to make you drink your own lies again. You don't want to do that to people. You want to say, "Oh, well, this isn't really the truth, so I'm going to purify this and then I'm going to hand it back to you and you can decide, do you accept the pure water?" And they look at it and they're like, yeah, actually that is actually what he handed me in the beginning with his question, the clean water. I then depurified it. He's repurified it and he's now given it back to me actually for what it really is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Beautiful. All right, guys, we are done. But does anybody have any questions or any takeaways? And if you want to come up and say it, just comment in the chat and then I'll pull you up on screen. Well done to both of you guys. That was great.
Can I say one real quick?
Sorry, Faith. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you how you felt during the role play and what you discovered. Yes.
I just wanted to say, like, obviously I'm a prospect, like I'm basically making up the story, but in the beginning, like I was aware of my own rationalization. Like when I said like, "Oh, I'm meeting guys organically," like they're coming up to me, like I was very aware of what I was saying. But like as it went on, by the time I got to the point, like in my head as a prospect, I was like, "Oh, the issue is that like I'm not going to the right spot to meet the type of guys that I want to be with." And like, even though it's a made up story, like I wasn't even picking up on some of my own rationalization. So like, I feel like in real time, even though it was a fake story, when you were pointing out some of those things in my head, I was like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, what is that next layer deep in this fake prospect story that I'm creating in my head?" And it's just like, I didn't even realize some of my own rationalizations. So then I was like having to think, okay, like a layer deeper than that and like create this story. And it was like a very light bulb moment of like, sometimes I think when a prospect gets on, I'm like, "Oh, they know the answer and they just don't want to tell me it." And it's like, no, they might not even know what the answer. And like, yeah, that is 100% my job to help them realize the answer. It's not that they know it and they just don't want to tell me because they're being defensive that I'm trying to sell them or whatever.
That's massive. That's massive for everyone. Yeah. A lot of the times prospects know most of the answers and they can really solve their problem, but they needed help getting clarity. Sometimes they really, it's so many layers deeper that you have to be an expert that can help them uncover that. So that's a very, very solid point. Anybody else got anything they want to add? Nope. All right, guys, if nobody has anything they want to add, if you do, post in the chat right now if you've got comments, feedback, takeaways. Nope. All right, guys, it was a pleasure as always. I will see you guys live on Wednesday. I'll see you inside school between now and then. I hope that was helpful for all of you. I'll see you all soon.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome, guys. Bye. All right. Wow. That was a deep one. Guys, gals, if you're watching this training and this is resonating with you, if you're like, holy shit, this is how powerful, how deep, how integral, how transformative, how impactful mastering closing can be on yourself and on your prospects and on your life in general. Because as you probably see there, when you start learning this, you change, you transform who you are. If you're resonating with this and you sit on the sidelines and think, you know what, I won't join the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. I'll just, keep watching YouTube or going about my day, doing my calls. You are letting yourself down in the sense of you're aligned with this on a spiritual level. That's why it's resonating with you while you're watching these trainings. And yet the lower level, the lower version of you is hesitating, is fearful, is rationalizing. You aren't going to get to a point where you can help a prospect through their rationalizations while you're rationalizing. That is not how it works. If you want to master what I'm teaching and you want to be able to help people like this, and you want to become a true leader, someone that is truly making waves in the world, the first person you have to lead is yourself. The first person you must lead is yourself. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, I want to be that person so I can be that person for other people, so I can print money like a motherfucker, I can help people, I can have meaning, I can have purpose, I can develop a skill that is life-changing, that is such a powerful universal skill, the skill of psychology, understanding people, communication, mastering yourself, and how that all comes together in the vehicle of high-ticket closing. If you're resonating with all of that, just start now. Take action. Click the link below the video. Watch the video on the next page, which just takes you through the very next step to enroll in the mastermind, and then enroll. Because you want what I'm teaching, you want what I have the ability to teach, you have to start by executing that into your own choices, your own decisions. So hopefully I'll see you on the inside of the mastermind. If not, I'll see you in the next video.